Drones, once the tool of photographers and hobbyists, are now completely changing how wars are fought. There's now a wide range of drones being used by militaries across the world, and the conflict in Ukraine has shown how they can be instrumental in shaping a war. In this video, we're going to look at different kinds of drones to see how they've been so effective against the enemy. Ukraine's drone deployment has changed with the evolving battlefield. During earlier stages of the war, when Russia's air defense and electronic warfare capabilities weren't as advanced, Ukraine relied on larger drones, such as the Turkish TB2 Bayraktar, to great effect. This drone was able to carry multiple air-to-ground munitions and loiter for long periods. This let Ukrainian forces hit Russian air defenses as well as heavy targets. The problem with this is that as time progressed, Russia took greater control of the skies. It then had the ability to detect and shoot down these larger models more easily. The TB2 still has some use. Its sensor suite and considerable range still let Ukrainian operators collect intelligence, but the trend has been for Ukraine to move to smaller drones. Another key type of drone that's been used in the Ukrainian conflict is FPVs. This stands for first-person view, as the user wears goggles, giving them a look from the drone's perspective. Both sides in Ukraine have fielded thousands of these racing drones with improvised warheads. Ukraine's defense ministry calls them kamikazes because the warhead blows up the drone itself. Significantly, they can carry out strikes that would be out of reach of other weapons. These are faster, nimbler, and cheaper than regular drones, which is why they've been cited as being crucial to changing warfare. Although FPVs lack a long range, the live feed to the operator's goggles lets them reach beyond the line of sight, hitting targets behind trees, buildings, or ridges, or in trenches. This makes them excellent at supplementing artillery attacks. Defenders find it hard to jam them electronically because they use analog video signals to fly at low altitudes. Another advantage of them is that FPVs can carry larger warheads than small quadcopters. An FPV is limited to the damage it can inflict on the enemy, as the warhead is usually not big enough to penetrate a tank's thick frontal armor, but it can go through its thinner rear or sides. Plus, it can easily stop lighter armored vehicles such as personnel carriers, self-propelled guns, and trucks. It's thought that these weapons could play the role that the machine gun did in the First World War, make any advance suicidal, and lead to a stalemate. Eskadron, a Ukrainian non-profit company, produces around 1,500 FPVs a month with plans to increase output. The issue here isn't production of the weapon itself, it's training enough operators to use them. Not anyone is capable of getting the best out of them. Operating an FPV requires dexterity and fast reflexes. Training in Ukraine, carried out by private schools, NGOs, and others, takes a month. The pass rate is 60 to 70%, although it has been shown that candidates with video game skills do better. As FPVs are relatively new, it's likely more uses of the weapon may emerge as FPVs themselves evolve. New models appear every few weeks. Both Ukraine and Russia have started using FPV dive bombers, which are reusable. Ukraine has claimed that its army of drones has artificial intelligence to help locate Russian targets, raising the possibility of autonomous FPVs that don't need an operator at all. They would also be immune to radio jamming and launched in swarms. This would all help to raise their success rate. Because of their effectiveness, other armies have taken a big interest in FPVs. America's Department of Defense has issued a request to defense contractors for information based on the Ukrainian experience. Larger long-range drones have also become increasingly important in modern warfare. These suicide drones are becoming more prominent in the arsenals of militaries worldwide. For example, Iran has a massive supply of the deadly Shahed 136. Iran sold thousands of these weapons to Russia that were then used against targets in the Ukraine. In an uncovered partnership project with Iran, Russia finished constructing a drone factory in Tatarstan, 500 miles east of Moscow, where it could produce an estimated 6,000 Shahed 136, aka Garan 2 prototypes by mid-2025. Iran has also provided them to Houthi rebels in Yemen. This drone measures 3.5 meters long and 2.5 meters wide and weighs 200 kilograms. It is designed with a delta wing shape, with stabilizing rudders at the tips. The fuselage of the aircraft is centralized and blended into the wings. It can carry up to 40 kilograms of warheads at its nose section and be mounted and launched from a military or commercial truck. It is launched using a rocket situated below the fuselage, which gets separated by a system immediately after launch. On top of this, a conventional Mato MD-550 four-cylinder two-stroke piston engine at the rear of the fuselage drives a two-blade pusher propeller to move the drone forward. This helps the Shahed 136 achieve a maximum speed of 185 km per hour and a range of 2,500 kilometers. These drones have been controversial over the years because of their alleged use in launching attacks in Syria, Ukraine, and other countries. The potential of these weapons to become relatively inexpensive options to target an enemy is another reason why they're so important on the modern battlefield. The company Terminal Autonomy has indicated that the Defense Forces of Ukraine has already received a batch of long-range kamikaze drones called AQ-400 Scythe. It appears that with this drone, Terminal Autonomy has managed to implement the concept of a cheap, mass, and affordable means of defeat, which can be supplied to the Defense Forces of Ukraine by the hundreds. The range of the AQ-400 Scythe UAV is declared at 750 kilometers. This, twinned with the production of hundreds of drones per month, allows regular strikes on Russian assets. The takeoff weight of this drone is 100 kilograms, of which 32 kilograms is the warhead. This figure can be increased by 70 kilograms by reducing the flight range. For comparison, the new warhead of the Shahed kamikaze drone, which we looked at earlier, is 40 kilograms. This drone can be launched from a catapult, or alternatively from a runway. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has shown that innovations in drone technology can change the balance of power in the air defense domain especially. While Russia aims to build pockets of air superiority and bolster its drone production and the anti-drone defenses, Ukraine, in the background, continues to develop both more and less sophisticated solutions. Russia's expanded drone production could be enough to counter the country's shortage of drones on the front lines and turn the tide of the conflict in its favor. However, Ukraine's ability to use commercial drone technology, tactically modify drones in the field based on real-time feedback, and alter tactics to defeat anti-drone systems have proved to be essential to its war effort. Even while overmatched force-wise, Ukraine has shown how shrewd technological adaptation can change 21st century warfare and could tip the balance of power in favor of the force that's smarter rather than stronger. What do you think about these drones? Let us know in the comments, and please like this video if you've enjoyed it. If you want to see more videos like this one, then subscribe to Spotlight for more. Thanks for watching.